Good morning. Today we are going to analyze the love poem for Wife 1 by A.K. Ramanujam. While critically analyzing the poem, we will keep in mind the following points. He tries to explain the causes of disharmony in his relationship with his wife. You will find that he concludes that one must be contented with disharmony. Another thing which he points is that husband and wife cannot share the same past. He has used the mocking and self mocking tone. So, on the basis of these points, we will try to discuss the poem. There are certain other points also which we will also keep in mind. The poem reflects the differences between his and his wife's background. It deals with the causes of marital disharmony. The reasons which he has pointed out are his wife's pose of superiority and false family pride. Another reason is the lack of common sense and their different pasts. He has also suggested two ways to overcome the difficulties. The ways are to follow the examples of ancient Egyptian kings and to follow the ways of Hindus who betrothed their children before birth. But ultimately, the underlining idea of the poem is the inevitability of disharmony in marital relationships. So, on the basis of the given points, we will try to discuss the poem. Love poem for a wife 1 tries to explain explicitly or implicitly the causes of disharmony in poet's relationship with his wife, but seems to conclude on the point that one must be content with disharmony, duality, and change. There are certain things which cannot be expected otherwise. For example, the poet says that he and his wife cannot share the same past, and as such, they are bound to remain separate emotionally. In a mocking and self mocking tone, the poet gives amusing details which reflect the differences between his wife and himself and their background, familial, mental, and emotional. I, you dichotomy runs throughout the poem to underline their alienation. I am giving some lines, I am quoting some lines from the poem. You cannot, for instance, meet my father. He is some years dead. Neither can I meet yours. He has lately lost his temper and mellowed. The poet then recounts the memories of an evening party at which a number of cousins, both his and hers, were present. These cousins has brandy and cashew nuts and could not talk freely in the absence of the elders. The poet's wife wanted to know about his past and the poet wanted to know his wife's past. He became envious when he learns about his wife's village dog rides, and the history of seven crazy aunts. You will see in the poem that his wife also feels delighted to learn how his father noisily bathed and slapped soap on his back. She feels happy to see the wedding photo of his parents. She feels contented to find out the source of foolish look on his face. So, in a self-mocking tone, the poet says that it was God's will that he has achieved something unique in life. Otherwise, he was a born fool. The fact delightfully recognized by his wife. Turning to the poet's wife's past, the poet remarks that his wife's father, now in extreme old age, has forgotten the evenings when she used to come late after sharing the company of a Muslim friend. He clearly remembers how one day he kept passing to and fro in the balcony, waiting for his daughter, who turned up late after having an innocent date with her Muslim lover. The wife's past affairs with a Muslim boy still bother the husband. So these are the causes of their marital disharmony. After having a dig at his wife, the poet recalls another experience which has a reflection on her pose of superiority and false family pride. He remembers how she and her brother James started a drag-out fight regarding the location of a bathroom in their grandmother's house in Aleppo. He and his sister-in-law were completely ignored as his wife and his brother continued to hotly discuss the matter. He has also pointed out at his wife's lack of common sense, which reflect itself in her wagging heirlooms and her husband's earnings on what her uncle in Kuwait would say about the bathroom. From the giving accounts, the poet infers that his wife and he himself have different pasts, and which is the main reason for their marital disharmony. So he says that there could be only two ways by which these differences could be overcome. The one way is to follow the examples of ancient Egyptian kings who married their own sisters. So they shared each other's childhood experiences and overcame all problems very happily, and they led a very happy married life. The another way suggested by him is that of the well-meaning Hindus who betrothed their children before birth, even before their mothers have had their first periods. Both ways are, of course, unthinkable, and these are very inevitable things in the present context. The ironic twist at the end of the poem is that it underlies the inevitability of disharmony in marital relationship. So you see that it is an unusual love poem. There is no romance in the love poem. between husband and wife. You don't see any romance. Both of them are wary of each other, yet they are bound to each other. The extreme objectivity on the part of the lover and the mocking and self mocking tone put this love poem into the category of love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. That's all. Thank you.